Hello and welcome to Z. In this episode, we are looking how we humans destroy humanity, destroy future. Stay tuned to know how we do that. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. For thousands of years, people have been responsible for the destruction of forests. We have the potential to be the first generation to further develop them. The destruction of forests by mankind dates back thousands of years. It is believed that 57% of the world's livable area was covered in trees when the most recent big ice age ended. Since that time, people in every part of the world have cleared land by burning and cutting down trees. This is illustrated in the chart that follows. The amount of land that was covered in vegetation decreased from 6 to 4 billion hectares. That indicates that our predecessors cut down 1/3 of the old woods, which resulted in the loss of a forest area that was twice as large as the United States. The desire for land, on the one hand, and the need for wood, on the other, are the two primary reasons why humans have destroyed forests and why they continue to do so. Wood serves a multitude of purposes, the most essential of which is that it is a source of energy. It can be used to build buildings or ships, it can be converted into paper, and so on. In areas where there are trees but no other modern sources of energy are accessible, the burning of wood is a significant source of energy. To this day, approximately half of the world's cut down trees are used for the production of electricity, the majority of which is used in low-income households that do not have access to other options. 2. Agriculture is by far the most significant factor contributing to the degradation of forests around the world. The majority of the time, people clear land in order to make room for croplands and pastures, both of which are essential to the agricultural industry. In order to make room for new settlements and mines, we also clear-cut trees, but the scale of this activity is far smaller than farming. Not only did the exploitation of land for agriculture result in the destruction of the world's forests, but it also caused a precipitous drop in the number of the world's other wild places, including grasslands and shrublands. This is also demonstrated by the chart. Destruction of forests is an ongoing problem in many different countries. This is demonstrated by the series of charts. The current percentage of land covered by forests in each of these countries is lower than it was 30 years ago. The majority of the world's remaining tropical forests are located in the tropics, which are home to some of the richest biodiversity found anywhere on our globe. What might possibly be causing this? The growth of agricultural land for the purpose of raising cattle is, by a significant margin, the most important factor. I really wish that this was understood by more people. The primary factor contributing to the loss of biodiversity around the world is the use of land for agricultural purposes. Around 12% of tropical deforestation can be attributed to demand from high-income nations, even though local customers are responsible for the majority of forest clearance in the tropics. Consumers of beef in every region of the world are responsible for a portion of the deforestation that is occurring in the Amazon. 6. This enormous impact of meat consumption on deforestation is also obvious in the first figure that presented the history over the course of the last 10 millennia. Citation needed. Currently, animal grazing pasture accounts for 31% of the total livable land in the world. This region of the world encompasses a very big area. In its whole, it is comparable in size to the entirety of the American continent, stretching from Alaska in the north to Tierra del Fuego in the south. Because raising animals for food is a relatively wasteful use of resources, the eating of meat is one of the primary causes of deforestation. The production of plant-based foods requires far less land than that of animal products. Therefore, one strategy to boost agricultural output per unit of land area is to reduce the amount of meat that is consumed. A significant step toward achieving the goal of putting a stop to deforestation and making progress would be to move away from land-intensive methods of producing meat, particularly beef. A step in the right direction would be to bring attention to just how significant an impact the production of meat has on the surrounding ecosystem. Producing alternative meats to beef that are more popular among consumers is yet another complementary strategy. The finish line for forest loss? Is there any chance, after tens of thousands of years of cutting down trees, that things might turn out differently? Yes. In point of fact, there are a number of countries that have put an end to their long tradition of deforestation. A few even succeeded in turning the situation around, which led to the expansion of the forest there. The process by which deforestation gives way to new forest growth is referred to as a forest transition. The information about some of the countries that have managed to accomplish this goal is presented in the chart that follows. 7. As was noted before, although it is true that numerous nations have made this transition, it is also true that consumers in these countries contribute to deforestation in other countries. This is the case despite the fact that these countries have made this shift. The development of new technologies that cut down on the need for fuel wood and agricultural land was essential to the reversal of both situations. Since the availability of contemporary energy sources, first fossil fuels, and more recently renewable sources of energy in nuclear power, there has been a decline in the need for wood as a source of energy. When already existing farmland was used in a more efficient manner, that is, when an increase in food production was accomplished by a greater output per area of land, this resulted in a decrease in the need for more and more agricultural land. The enhanced productivity of the land as a result of contemporary agricultural practices has enabled an increasing number of nations to preserve the forests that, in the absence of these practices, would be cleared for agricultural use. This increase in food yields is made possible by the development of novel modern crops, fertilizers, herbicides, and irrigation techniques. These two technical shifts may be supplemented by rules and regulations that are more effective. Policies that aim for zero deforestation place limits on deforestation, and initiatives such as the Food and Agriculture Organization's FAO Red Plus program provides compensation to less developed nations and farmers in an effort to make forest preservation economically more desirable than deforestation. 8. Will our generation be able to witness the beginning of a new era for the world's forests? The transition from deforestation to reforestation, also known as a global forest transition, is something that many countries have already accomplished, and in order for us to preserve the forests of our planet, the entire globe as a whole will need to do the same thing. The eradication of deforestation has emerged as an overarching priority for nations all over the world. At COP26, which took place in Glasgow, the countries that account for approximately 85% of the world's forests made a commitment to put a stop to deforestation by the year 2030. The last figure provides an overview of the current status of this endeavor around the world. The development of the temperate woodland ecosystem is depicted in the chart's brown section. The transformation of these forests as a whole has been completed. Deforestation rates were high in the past, but they reached their highest point in the first part of the 20th century, and beginning in the 1990s, the size of temperate forests has continued to grow. The recovery of temperate forests is well underway. Now, the obstacle is to accomplish the same thing in tropical forests, which are represented by the color green in this image. The rate of deforestation in the tropics was at its maximum in the 1980s, which shows that we are making headway in the right direction. Since that time, there has been a reduction of 3 times the previous pace of deforestation. If we are successful in bringing the demand for fuel wood and agricultural land to a lower level, it may be possible to put an end to deforestation in tropical regions. It would be a significant victory for those working to preserve the biodiversity of the world if we were able to complete the transition of the global forest during our lifetimes. In addition to this, it would put an end to the emission of greenhouse gases that are caused by deforestation, and the expansion of forests, rather than their reduction, would result in a greater amount of carbon being removed from the atmosphere. We have the potential to be the first generation to create a world in which forests continue to grow. How can we put an end to the destruction of the forest? There is no one solution, but as we have shown, making a few significant adjustments can put this significant aim closer within grasp. A change away from meat consumption, more productive agriculture that allows for greater production on a smaller land area, effective conservation measures, and a shift to contemporary energy sources are some of the ways in which we might be able to reach our goal if we combine all of these things together. Not only would we prevent the destruction of the forests that now exist, but we might also provide room for new forests to sprout in their place. During our lifetime, we have the extraordinary potential to put an end to the lengthy practice of deforestation that has been practiced in our country. We have the ability, for the first time in millennia, to create a world in which trees continue to grow. This is all for now. Thank you for being with us.